Tiptoe around with face of a stranger, quiet observer, never get too close. I see the world, but it's through this window. Another side to see, I'm ready to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. He's from the city, she's from the south. Two different chapters told miles out. The back row living in his White House. So many stories that I need to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. So many stories right in front of me. Some people climb to heights I've never seen. Too many falling down off their feet. These stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. Why you're the way you are. Why you're the way you are. Tiptoe around with face of a stranger, quiet observer, never get too close. I see the world, but it's through this window. Another side to see, I'm ready to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. He's from the city, she's from the south. Two different chapters told miles out. The back row living in his White House. So many stories that I need to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. right in front of me. Some people climb to heights I've never seen. Too many falling down off their feet. These stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad, in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silver Sunday on this August the 8th, 2021. I cannot believe I'm saying 2021. It just does not seem possible at all. But we thank you for joining us. We hope to have an interesting conversation tonight. Only 30 seconds ago did I tell the gang what we're going to be talking about, and I already had all kinds of what we're talking about. What? So it should be a fun night. But as always, the first thing I want to do is shout out to Daytona Beach Comic Con. Daytona Beach, September 18th to 19th it's going to be in DeLand this year, not Daytona. So it's still Daytona Beach Comic Con, but for those of you who aren't Florida geographically knowledgeable, who don't know the map of Florida, this is not very far. It's like Newberry Park and Westlake Village. That was for my California friends. So yeah, it's just right around the corner. Apparently, he could not get the venue that he has had for the last several years, mostly due to COVID and the stuff that they've got going on. So he just moved it down the road a little bit. But it is still Daytona Beach Comic Con. It's still going to be the same fun stuff. And for those of you who are calendar challenged, that's in about 5 weeks. So if you have not made your plans, make them now, because it's going to be a fun show. Lots of comic books are going to be there. Kickstarter updates. I hope to. I have not finished them yet, so I haven't sent. I had planned to send those out this morning, but that didn't happen. Best laid plans of mice and men. I will be sending out a survey to everyone who backed. Please fill out that survey as soon as you possibly can, because I will need your name to put on the thank you page. And our books, our Kickstarter books, have a thank you page to all of our backers. Just another way that we get to say thank you for helping us make this comic become a reality. And so your names get to be in the Kickstarter version of the books. And so if I don't get your survey, there's two things. Number one, I don't have a name to put in the thank you on the thank you page, and then I also don't have an address to send them to. So I definitely am going to need that in order to send you your books. And I absolutely want to send you your books because I'm confident you're going to like them. So yeah, hopefully you'll start seeing the surveys tomorrow. And if you have any questions about them, you can always just email me and ask me a question. They're pretty self-explanatory, but I do need you to fill those out. So everything else is right on target, though. Like we said during the campaign, the comics are finished. So all we need to do is I did discover yesterday that I hadn't done the editorial pages. And when I say the editorial pages, for us, that's just that's a real simple. Let me see if I can find one to show you. That's just this page right here. Oh, that's the old logo. I don't want to show the old logo. I want to show the new logo. That's just this page right here. Whoops, where's my camera?
Oh, yeah.
That has this stuff here. So that has their credits, and I usually write a little bitty something about it. So I did not have those done. One of those are now done. I'll finish the other one tomorrow. But hopefully, we should have the money from Kickstarter within about a week. And at that point, as soon as I get the money, I'll just forward that along to Kablam, and then they will get that stuff printed, and we will get that shipped out. So, yeah, that's it for the update. I didn't introduce myself, did I? I just jumped in, didn't I? So
How'd it go?
so and it may be because I feel so much better than I have the last couple of streams. I'm excited to be here and not be looking at the clock saying, can I make it 2 hours? Can I make it 2 hours? All right, so I'm rolling. I am the chief cook and bottle washer at Silverline. I'm the head wrangler. Write a handful of the comics that we do, including the last two that we kickstarted, Bea #1 and Silverline Team Up, featuring Champion and Miss Fury. And I have a cool group with me tonight. Are they on screen yet? I'm not thinking they're on screen yet. Are you going to pop them on one? Oh, they are? Okay. So, so first up on my list is Curtis. Curtis, why don't you tell everyone who you are? And not only that, you have got to talk a little bit about that cool T-shirt you have on.
My vintage T-shirt. Okay, so I'll start with me, and then we'll move on to the clothing. So I'm Curtis Fujita. I'm the creative director at Silverline. I'm also the creator of the upcoming comic book Shadow Ghost, and I'm a martial arts instructor. So Shadow Ghost is the kung fu comic by a kung fu master, published by Silverline. And I started out my comic book career at Malibu Comics many years ago with Roland. And one of the big books that we worked on was The Protectors, which was a lot of characters based on public domain superheroes. And so The Protectors was like a supergroup, like the Avengers. And this is one of the shirts I used to always get all the cool little freebies at the office. And so this is The Protectors.
That's Gravestone.
And this is drawn by the great Jerry Bingham,
nice.
Also known from Batman, Son of the Demon, if you're familiar with it. Iron Man, phenomenal artist. He was on staff with us.
Yeah.
And it actually still fits, so that's a good thing.
Wow. So that thing must have been draping off of you as 25 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah. I think it was like a pajama, before. I filled it out over the years.
Yeah, you do. But it's incredible what kind of shape that thing's in.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have another one, so stay tuned on the stream.
Nice.
I'll have more.
So my mom still has one of those. She's got a yellow ferret shirt, and I think it's Protectors, right? But it has the ferret on it. But it is, it's got holes in it. It's got paint on it. She's used it to paint and work outside, and it's almost a rag at this point in time. but yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, that's a bright red shirt. What is that? What's that on your shirt? Look at that.
Yeah, and again, Jerry Bingham did all these characters, and he's just such a phenomenal artist.
He really is.
He's such a talent.
He's amazing.
I still talk to Jerry frequently. I don't know if you guys know that. Yeah, I still talk to Jerry pretty frequently. In fact, and of course I know he'll never hear this, but in fact, the last time I talked to him, I said, "Dude, you really need to let's get you drawing a comic." And he's like, "My comic drawing days are over." So
I hope not, because he's one of the best people that's ever been in the industry.
He really is. Yeah, Jerry spends his time now doing a lot of Western paintings, and I don't know a lot about Western artists, but Frederick Remington is an artist that I like quite a bit, who draws a lot of. When I say Western, I'm talking about cowboys and Indians and American Civil War, that kind of stuff. And Jerry is doing a lot of that kind of stuff now. He has paintings in display in various places throughout the Southwest in the U.S. So so that's exciting. Next up on my screen here is Roberta. Roberta, say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Tell them who you are.
Hi, I'm Roberta Conroy. I'm a former Malibu and Marvel Comics colorist from the 90s. I'm here in Los Angeles, and I'm a graphic designer during the day and coloring away at night. I am coloring right now for Cat and Mouse, and
Yes.
I just completed, was it our 12th successful Kickstarter?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And my very
Wow.
first Silverline title, the new Silverline Team Up champion, Miss Fury.
It's
Very proud,
exciting.
very happy, and excited to see it.
Good, good. So I have a question. This is for all of you. So when you say, because I've said this kind of thing before, it's like I'm a teacher by day and I'm a comic book maker by night. Whenever you say that, do you feel like you ought to be like putting on a mask and I'm a comic book maker by night?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Last but not least, we have from all the way across the pond. He says he's just a penciler, but we know better than that. Pete, tell everybody who you are.
I'm just a penciler. Right, you know that. Hi everybody. I'm the penciler on the book you're soon to be receiving, the Silverline Team Up Champion and Miss Fury. I'm also the penciler on Trump's issue 4, which you'll be getting at some point.
At some point.
At some point. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing for Silverline. Yeah. Just penciling.
And are you a penciler by night? Do you put on your mask as well?
I pencil all hours of the day.
yeah. And we should remind folks because when you say all hours of the day, you really mean that. It is. Where's my clock? It's 8 o'clock here.
1:13 a.m.
It's 1:13 for you. So by the time we finish our stream, it's going to be near 3 o'clock.
3 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I get lots of work done at this time because it's so quiet.
I think I've always suspected, and you guys maybe confirm this or deny it, that that's why a lot of creative people are night owls.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the guys I know work stupid hours. They just get up in the middle of the night and I don't understand why they do this because I'm exhausted on the Monday. I really can't be doing much today. But yeah, especially when we were at Cubit School, the guys would they would get home, they'll go to sleep, and they'd wake up about 7, 8 o'clock, and then they'd work through until the morning. I don't know how they did it. I think a younger crowd can obviously do that, but I was like, no, I'm going to bed. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. CubeTube says, Pete, why? Stop that. You leave Pete alone. I think I know who you are. Stephen Brown says, my comic has only 2 pages left. I'm excited to reveal the title to everyone. P.S. I just learned a while ago that Malibu Comics once owned Men in Black. Yeah, Malibu Comics published Men in Black. I think I saw Tom Mason post the other day that Men in Black is still owned by Lowell Cunningham. I'm not under that impression. I'll need to ask Lowell. I still talk to Lowell some. Not nearly as often as I talk to Jerry Bingham, but I probably swap messages with Lowell about once a year. And Lowell is the guy who created Men in Black. I think I think he's got a good deal, but I think he sold all rights to Men in Black to Malibu, and then when Marvel then bought Malibu, Marvel now owns it. But I think I saw Tom Mason post the other day on probably the Ultraverse group that Lowell still owned Men in Black. So that's if that's the case, then I'm really excited for Lowell. I know he's got a pretty good deal for not for the films, but for all the associated stuff with it. So behind the scenes, before we get too deep into it, we have I want to shout out to Carlos at New Armor Media. Carlos is our producer. He's pushing all the buttons and turning all the knobs. And if you have ever thought about streaming, you too can stream. Just reach out to New Armor Media, and they will get you streaming right away. So, how'd I do, Carlos? Is that all right? I feel like those some of those radio guys, when they They just read the ad, you know. It's like you want to sleep on a soft mattress? Well, here's the mattress I used, right? So, okay, so let's talk about. Did I forget anything for
Yeah,
I get
can
there?
I talk about something? Was that a cat and mouse mug
Oh,
you have
yes.
up there, Curtis?
Oh, this delicious beverage.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing I like better than drinking a beverage when talking about comic books, and nothing makes my beverages taste better than the taste of Silverline official merchandise on Zazzle. That's Silverline, Silverline. Make mine Silverline.
I love it, Curtis.
You
You
can
know
just
I'm
edit
clipping
that.
That was smooth.
I
If you
was
can just
practicing
edit that
all
and
week
cut
for
that,
this
you can just
moment.
put it on every station going. Just keep sliding in.
Oh, I'm thankful that we're on. We're also on Twitch because I am going to clip that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for this. Thanks for the setup, Roberta. I appreciate it.
She did, man. She lobbed that one to you, didn't she?
I
Oh
did.
yeah,
I
and I was
was
like,
like,
That was
oh,
off the park.
that was beautiful. All right, so tonight we're gonna talk about social media. Now, I want to, or at least the first chunk of time, let's talk about some social media. So now, what I want to do is I don't want to, I don't talk about all the nastiness that I don't want to get in the specifics of the nastiness that we know that we can see, but let's talk about it in a couple of ways, right? Number one, kind of what are the things that you do with it? What do you think are the pros and cons of social media? What do you think are some of the, maybe even some of the pros and cons of the specific social media? But it's here, right? I mean, obviously, we're using it right now. That's exactly what we're doing, right, on social media. But it can be a black hole. It can be a tar pit. It can be a cesspool. All of those things, but it doesn't have to be, obviously. So I don't know. First, who wants to chime in and say how do you personally use the social medias?
The social media. I use it constantly.
Mm,
Constantly, I'm on it or using it. It's an. I think as you've got to be your own self publicist, right? You've got to be your own best publisher or a PR person. So you just you get instant feedback and you can stay in touch with people who
yes.
hopefully or do buy your work. Otherwise, you're just drawing in a room and no one ever sees it until, well, if you're lucky, they see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, for artists, it's another way of getting your stuff out there, and it's getting your stuff out there instantly. And unfortunately, you're getting your stuff out there with, a couple of billion other people.
Yeah.
So you got to cut through the noise. But it's been a whole new lease of life for my stuff. Just
Really?
being able to just put stuff out there, and I don't worry about it being the most finished article. It's just, unfortunately, I think you have to get anywhere with it. You have to post constantly.
Yeah.
We found this, haven't we? You have to post all the time to get up the algorithms, up the rankings, and whatever how it works.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I think I don't think I'd be where I am without it.
Yeah. Now, do you have a do you have a go-to like Instagram?
I mean, yeah, Instagram for me because I'm an artist and it's pictures. I
You don't
really
have to say anything.
Twitter, it's a lot more wordy.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the best one for artists. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the TikTok, I don't know. No. I've really started to enjoy TikTok because there's some funny videos on it,
Yes.
but it's not. It does. I don't see how it's going to help me really. I'm not going to do any dancing videos, so
Just put on a bikini and dance.
yeah. I thought about recording some of my pictures. I keep meaning to do this as I'm drawing, and then just speed it up.
Yes, those are cool. I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like seeing those. I like seeing an artist what are those called? Time lapse,
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoy seeing that. Particularly, I like seeing from the very beginning. I like seeing the blank page, and
Yeah.
saying this is my blank page, and I'm going to start and put some squares and rectangles and triangles and tubes and other stuff that I makes no sense to me, and I like watching it, come to life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
So you do more of those, but yeah, it's a must. You got to be on social
yeah,
media. Sorry, I know
yep,
it's a pain and like, oh, I've got to do social media, and you've got to keep doing it, but
yeah, yeah.
it's just work.
It is. It's part of it now, right?
Mm.
Curtis, Roberta, what about one of y'all? Well, that's Roberta first. Roberta.
Well, you
Yeah.
can ask me. I don't know. I've been, one of those reclusive artists my whole life, and I realize I can't do that.
Yeah.
I
Gee,
try
you
so
really?
hard
No.
to do anything, but you really can't live without it now. I,
Yeah.
I found that to be the case. It seems to be the only way that people are comfortable communicating anymore.
Mm.
Mm.
And so I guess I was drag kicking and screaming to Facebook, and I did it, but I hate, I think I've posted like 20 things the whole time I started, for years. And then I'm starting to figure
Yeah.
out what to do with it. It's just a matter of collecting the things that I feel inspire me, and being able to share that with my friends that do like it does have a function.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it kind of dovetails into your own, um, like stylistic inspiration. Because if you share something with a friend of yours, and they, tend to have that reinforcement, and I think it gets people who are creative a little bit less less isolated when you have that tiny tendril of showing them something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I think it's kind of like Pete said, you can get that immediate feedback, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you post something and then you get an immediate, hopefully a thumbs up and not a thumbs down.
Yeah. True.
yeah, but I mean the way that I've been watching is like I've been part of publishing,
Mm-hmm.
mainly publishing for a very long time, and the problem with for instance magazine culture and the internet has been at odds. And
Yeah.
it's been everyone that I've ever worked for having an issue with, well, how do I not take away from my base by putting something for free on the internet?
Yeah.
And so I've always been in the camp of like, well, you have to do it differently somehow.
Yeah.
And, so I think that has stalled me from being able to be myself, because I watch people that, photographers and artists who have had their pictures stolen and repurposed
Oh,
over and over and over and over and
yeah.
over. And it made me worry that that is just their livelihood going down the
Mm.
tubes if someone's more creative with stealing what they have. So
Yeah.
Mm.
I think now that things are a lot more online, I don't have that concern anymore. I feel like your reputation can outdo anything, at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's still that concern, though, because it's so easy. And I think that's the thing about the internet. It makes it so easy to steal. Where, you're talking about, if I'm going to steal a page from Pete, I got to walk up to his desk and snatch it when he might not be looking and walk away with a physical page. Online, all I got to do is right click on it, you
Mhm.
know. Um, and so it has made it easier. And I think I've said these numbers before, and I'll use his name now that he's no longer there. But I can't remember. I used his name earlier. But our pal Hank Knoltz. I had lunch with Hank the last year I went to San Diego, I guess about 4 years ago now. And, Hank was a senior vice president of publishing, blah, 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 some kind of title. And he told me at the time, and he said, it's only an estimate, but their best guesses were they thought that DC was losing 20,000 units per title per month to piracy. And I can't. Yes, that's huge because where's my calculator? I did the numbers once, and let's see, calculator. Okay, so let's just assume that they're publishing 80 books a month. Okay, and DC often publishes more than that. So times 20,000. That's 1.6 million, okay, times 12 months, right? So that's 19 million units in a year's time. That's sizable. Now I have some people tell me, well, so what? It's DC. They can afford it. My response is always twofold. Number one, stealing is stealing, right? You're stealing. But number two, it's not DC that they're stealing from, it's the creators. Because these are most creators, even in DC and Marvel, they have a page rate, yes, but they have royalty deals. And so what you've done is you've taken potential royalties out of the hands of creators. And you know what? No, it might not be that much, but every creator I know would love to get enough money to buy them a couple McBurgers a month. So yeah, and so I have problem. And I am not a fan of corporations. You are not going to hear me defending corporations, okay? But when we're talking about stealing comics or stealing music, right? You're talking about stealing from people who have created them. Yes, they've got to deal with the corporation, but still, corporation is going to pay them, right? So I don't know how accurate those numbers were, and Hank even said that those were just what they speculated, based on I don't know all kind of research they did, but yeah, that's terrible. Curtis, how about you? How do you use the social medias?
Sure. I mean, I think it's a great tool. It's not reality by a long shot, and I think it definitely is your own PR campaign that you're running. And I know, and I'll be frank, I don't even think just personal life. I mean, it's very curated what people post. They don't usually post a picture of this is the foreclosure on my home. It's this is me having a wonderful Instagram lunch and hashtag life goals and my life is balanced and all that, because everybody has the image that they want to project, and I don't think that's a problem as long as you realize that's what it is.
Yeah.
For business, it's fascinating, because for me it's not just the comic book and the art, but it's also for my martial arts school. I get to meet. I had one performance that I did several years ago, a demonstration, and maybe there was 30 people in the room, and I went ahead and posted that on YouTube, on social media, and it has over 250,000 views now.
Wow.
So that one demonstration is now like I did it in front of 250,000 people.
That's pretty cool.
And so to have that ability is cool, and to the point where it's funny, when my wife and I were at Comic-Con several years back, I was coming out of the washroom, and these three people walked up to me when I was with my wife, and they said, "Are you Sifu Curtis Fujita?" They said, "Are you the Kung Fu master?" I said, "Yeah." And they were martial artists who like comic books and just happened to recognize me, and I talked to them, took a picture with them. They walked away, and my wife was just like, "That is the weirdest thing."
You didn't have on a furry tail, did you?
No. What I do behind closed doors is my business. Is all I'm gonna say. But I think social media is great, and I can say for the whole Silverline thing, it is just so cool because for us we have like our own messages that we share, and we get to see what everybody's working on
Yeah.
at any given time, and it's so fun and so invigorating to be able to see that and get feedback, and
Yeah.
those are the positives. The negatives are, there's so many, we don't need to cover those. but
Yeah.
there's a lot of negatives too.
Well, let me hit on that thing just a minute that I know that you'll remember. You said one of the things that you like about it is that you get everybody's posting and you get to see the stuff. Do you remember every day at Malibu when the FedEx guy ran?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like Christmas. It was like Christmas.
Yeah, because everyone would gather around and like, oh, what'd you get, right? Well, I got these pages from this guy, right? And I
Oh, yeah.
remember the FedEx guy coming in with basically the whole dolly just full of those rectangular FedEx boxes, and
Oh yeah.
just delivering them to all the editors. Of course, that they would go to the other departments too, but the editors would all get their boxes and we'd open them up, and I can still
Yeah.
remember getting them from the from Dan and David Day for Raver. That
That's right. Walter Koenig.
right, yeah, you'd open that up and you could almost see the cigarette smoke rising from the package. Those
You could have smoked some of
Palisades-
those Bristol boards.
Oh man, those pages stunk so bad. I don't mean the artwork. I meant the pages themselves that you could smell. Probably if you were a smoker, you could probably determine what kind of cigarettes they smoke. But yeah. Anyway, so it was funny. So.
Hey, Aaron.
He's actually
Hey.
he's not on yet. So before he gets on,
Oh, sorry.
that's okay. If you actually, Curtis, if you look in your on your studio, if you look in the upper right hand corner, you'll see what everyone sees. You might have to.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You might have to hit the little green tab, the green arrow.
Oh yeah. I can see
So
it.
which
can see
reminds me, Curtis, why don't you tell everyone what we see you working on the screen?
Yes. So this is I'll put it on a panel that's more done. So this is my comic book, Shadow Ghost, and this is one of the pages. And what I'm doing is I'm working on this panel here where they kind of start to describe the legend of this character named Shadow Ghost. Shadow Ghost is a like a mythical martial arts figure, and the main character, the protagonist, is kind of trying to uncover the legend. And so this is him kind of recounting the legend, which has to do with ancient China and the emperor and a traitorous general and things like that. So I kind of put him here almost like he's standing in front of a movie screen or a classroom, kind of explaining it directly to the viewer, the whole legend. And yeah.
Cool.
And
this
Looking
is from
really good.
yes, it is. This is from issue
thank
1,
you.
right?
this is from issue 1. And and so I'm just kind of, what I've been doing is I'm experimenting a little bit. So what I'm doing now is I'm kind of roughing out everything, and then I'm just kind of skipping straight to inks. So I'm not doing the pencils because it's all digital.
Yeah.
So I'm going straight from breakdowns to inks, because several people, including Aaron.
So you're drawing all the naked people like Pete does, and then just inking it.
That's the way.
Exactly.
That's the way.
And I have to thank Aaron and a couple other people for this, because when they looked at my pencils, one of the things they commented on is they said, "Are those pencils or are those inks? Because it looks pretty finished." So I thought, you know what? Let me give it a try, and we'll see how it goes for a couple pages.
Yeah.
and kind of go from there.
Cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of digital, right?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and you don't have to buy more supplies. You just have to pay your license fee every month, and you have as much ink and color pens as you need.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we got a late joiner here. Aaron, tell folks who you are.
I am the penciler, just a penciler, just like Peter. I'm Fire Rush, and the upcoming Obsolete book, which I'm working on So I thought I'd join you guys while I work on comics and stuff.
Excellent.
And then I do my own comic Godlings, which I am finishing up issue 11. So I'm doing all sorts of comic book goodness. So yeah. I'm looking forward to your Shadow Ghost. That looks cool. Yeah, it's
Oh, thank you.
it's almost kind of like if when you do digital, there's kind of not really a reason to do pencils. I mean, I think people it's a force of habit, but you really can just do breakdowns and go straight to inks because there's no reason. I mean, there's no real reason to turn the pencil line from gray to black. Just draw in black and it'll be inked. So yeah. So
No, definitely.
Are you trying to poke me in the head,
I
Roll?
had a traditional.
No, my light went out, and I'm trying to figure out what I did to it. There it goes. My camera is obviously right there, right, and my light went out, and I'm like, what happened to my light? So, yeah, I don't know if I got something loose in there or not. So I didn't hear anything y'all said the last minute. So,
we were just talking about the inks, the digital inks.
So Aaron, we are talking about right now. Anyway, we're talking about social media. So so the first question I posed, and you'll be the last to answer it, I guess, is how do you use social media?
I use it just, strange enough, I use it just to post my artwork, and that's it. I don't usually use it I don't talk about my life much at all. I rarely show pictures of myself. If you want to see me, you come on Silverline Live and see me here.
Cool.
Mostly I just stick to my artwork and stuff like that. I just try to give it a focus and just keep posting new stuff when I get new stuff going and posting it. I know a lot of people say that you should have a much more personal bent to your art. I mean, to get yourself out there, but I don't know. I just think that sometimes inviting trouble.
Yeah,
I don't know why. So I just no. I just rather do my job. I don't know. There's something about that people let's talk about my. I've had some artists I follow that talk about shopping trips and talk about medical stuff going on, and I'm just I just don't really need to. I just want to see your art.
yeah.
So this is not much else. I mean, I'm sorry if that sounds mean, but that's just kind of what I'm really following you for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, everybody pretty much said, you post it, you use it to post your work and that kind of thing to keep people updated. So, my next question would then be, do you post entire images or do you post pieces? And let me tell you kind of why I'm asking that, because, one of the things I think about sometimes is oh, well, if I see the entire image online, do I have to buy it? Or do I need to buy it? Right? I've seen it, so what's the point? I mean, obviously, other than I want to buy it and support you, but what are your thoughts on posting pieces of images? Because I know sometimes you guys will do a cover for an upcoming book, and I really, 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 really super appreciate this. But one of the questions is always asked is that, hey, can I post it? And of course, my first thought is I really don't want the whole thing posted yet, because we're not going to do this book for another, 2 months. And I kind of like the idea that Silverline gets to reveal, boom, look at this, but if they've already seen it, then it's not much of a reveal, And so, so what are some of your thoughts about posting pieces against the versus the whole image? Somebody jump in.
It's funny. I've had talks about this, about posting, and I've heard arguments from either side. I talked to a friend about, because I wasn't even going to post my comic online, and the thing is, and I guess everyone can hear first, is after a month when it's fully posted, then I'm taking the whole thing down. But the argument was that you build an audience by giving away for free. I don't necessarily know how much I agree with that, but it's really hard. The thing is that this goes back to it's really hard to get people to pay for your stuff when they can just go get so much free stuff.
Right.
So even though other people give it away for free, it's almost like they kind of force your hand a little bit. And this is maybe giving away the image, giving away the cover of you should give it away to get people interested. And it's I guess the argument that I've heard is if you tease people with an image and they don't care in the first place, they're not going to come back. So you see what I'm saying? It's you're teasing somebody something that they just don't care. It's like if you walk by somebody in a store and they had a box with a blanket open, they go like, "You want to under the blanket?" No. And they just walk on. It's like, okay, well. So it's like how do you get that? So sometimes it's like you kind of reveal the whole thing to entice them, but then like you said, then it gives it all away. So I don't really.
Yeah.
I've heard arguments to the side, but yeah, the web comics have almost kind of forced hands, and it's a younger generation does expect. I mean, that happened with music. I mean, they expect all music to be free. You know, you can download games
Yeah.
for free. All entertainment should be free. It's like this sort of attitude they have that everything should be free. So how do you combat to get them to pay for it so we can keep making the stuff that they're stealing for free?
Yeah.
So- and I don't have the answer for that, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah, my thought on it is kind of like, and I've been kind of trying to do that with my project is I give away snippets and I give away the
Yeah.
making of. So that's kind of the idea is kind of trying to build up a following. Like I have about, to be frank, like over 45 pieces of concept art I did for the comic book that over the last several years, and only now am I just slowly doling them out, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
and the idea is so that to kind of get people excited and give them a peek behind it. But I made sure not to even start showing it until I was actually in production, because you don't want the momentum to end early. You know, you want
Yeah,
to build
right.
build up to it. So I kind of I always like what I see films and things do. I always call it like the 12 Days of Christmas kind of concept, which is as a movie's about to come out, they start to dole out little snippets of behind the scenes, featurettes, concept art, things like that. And I think that comes from my background in game design. There's people there are video games that have developed a following years before the video game actually comes out. And they do that by kind of fostering a community and building them up and stuff like that. And then there's a fever pitch when the game's about to come out. But
Yeah.
it's a delicate it's a delicate thing, you know. But I mean, talking about comic books, I mean, I think the thing that I find fascinating is you look back even at Marvel had, and Stan Lee really pushed this whole idea of people having that ownership, that we're part of the Marvel fan base,
Yes. Yeah.
part of this community. And if you can do that, then you give some people something more than just a product. You give them even a sense of identity, a sense of community. And they'll be the people. Like I just this week I had somebody contact me about Shadow Ghost, and this person, you know, Rudy. So what's up, Rudy? If you're there,
Cool.
Rudy started writing me and saying, "Oh, I'm so excited about this and that." And I wrote back to Rudy, and Rudy goes, "Hey, I'm going to a comic convention this weekend. You know, I might see about getting you out there." And I said, "Well, I'm kind of busy now, but spread the word." And Rudy said, "Yeah, I'll spread the word." And
You're like, tell them to put me
I
on the
called-
guest list next year.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I call that I'll see if Roland remembers this. I call that the Rob Running Water syndrome, which I don't know if Roland remembers. Roland, do you remember Rob Running Water?
Yes.
Okay. So that goes back to Protectors. Rob Running Water was this guy who would write us, and he was like our number one fan.
Mm-hmm.
He absolutely loved the books, and Roland was constantly giving me, every week Rob would send us a letter. This is all where email wasn't that common. So Roland would give me his letters right back to Rob. I would write back to Rob Running Water and give Rob this poster.
Yeah.
And I'd send the poster to Rob, and then Rob would write back, "I'm so excited, you made my day." And Roland said, "Hey, we have this special edition cover. You have an extra. Send it to Rob." And Rob Running Water was like our guy, you know.
Yep.
So I think you don't give it all away, but you can get a lot. You can get a lot
Yeah.
of mileage by forming that connection. You know?
Yeah.
Strangely enough, I have noticed that a lot of the people who shop in comic shops don't translate the people who read online. I don't know
Right.
why that is.
Yeah.
And so, even if I put it in stores, I'm hitting another audience that's willing to pay for stuff than people who go online and get it for free. Because if they're getting it for free, they're not going to the store.
Right. Yeah,
So-
and I think that's part of where conventions come in, which
Yeah.
leads to something that CubeTube said. He says, whereas cons were the way to network in the past, and some now, social media is now the necessary evil, even for seasoned and known artists. and I think that's I think there's what you
a little bit. I don't know, if you're trying to break in, a lot of places won't even look at your portfolio unless you're at a convention.
yeah
And there's no, you can. I send my stuff off all the time, and every now and then I'll get a response.
Mm.
It's nothing quite the same as sitting down with someone at a convention and
Yes.
actually having going through it with them.
Well,
I think once you're established, sure, you can just do everything online.
right.
Super duper. But if you're trying to break in, you need conventions are so important. I find them so important.
Yeah,
Actually sitting with people.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And Pete, you've probably heard me say, when I was an editor, if I had two people, let's just say two pencilers, and you know, everything being equal between the two, but I had met one of them at a convention, and the other one was just a name on an envelope. And assuming that I met the one at the convention and they weren't crazy, and I'm like, hey, I met this person at the convention. They were pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use this person because I met them. They were nice, and I like their art. The other artists might be just as good, but I didn't meet them. I don't know them. They're just a name on an envelope.
Do you think it also has to do with the fact that people at convention will actually wait in line and go out of the way? It gets like, if they're going to wait in line, go out of the way, come to the convention to show you stuff that they're a little more serious about it than somebody sends it in by mail. Is there anything maybe to that, the effort involved?
So I'll give my opinion there. So I don't know that to be the case, but here's what I will say. Being a kid from Mississippi, I know how hard it was in the day. We didn't have any conventions in our area. I mean, not any major conventions in our area. At the time, there was the Atlanta Fantasy Festival. There was Dallas, which wasn't probably at the time, wasn't in the top 10. And then, of course, there was San Diego, Chicago Comic Con, and then New York. Those were almost, except for Atlanta, which was about 5 hours from me. Dallas was about 10 hours from me. They were very unreachable. I mean, today is a little bit different, but back then, I'm like, there was no way I could go to those shows and try to meet people. I ended up going to San Diego real early. And that's really where things began to change. Once I was able to get a plane and go to the convention and meet people and shake hands with them and look them in the eyes and introduce myself, that's when things began to change for me. Now I had already done a single comic at that point in time, but that's what helped get me more work because they were able to meet me and I was able to prove that I wasn't just some nut from Mississippi. Stephen Brown says some people would use social media to influence companies to do what they want, which is not good, but others use it to show the art and try to get hired by Marvel and DC. I mean, I think there's all kinds of uses for it. And I don't have any problem with someone using it to try to get hired by a company, whether it be Marvel or DC. And then Stephen Brown says, I prefer the more traditional drawing, and I post art. Kasisi says, hey Kasisi, what's up? He says, I'm curious today if new comic book talent, writers, artists, etc., wanted to promote themselves, how would you recommend they do it without social media? And then he says, I think you guys just answered it. But let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit anyway, right? What would you guys say? How would you do it without social media?
I don't know. How did you used to do it?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, go to conventions. That was the way. You went to conventions and you met people.
You could also, weird as it is, you can make your own comic or just make your comics and put them in comic shops. We used to do that too. That's a slower burn than a convention. But it can, that is still, just anything to get your eyes seen. Do signings at stores, most stores, will let you come sit in there, even if no one shows up, just hang out. Again, and remember, you're not using social media, so you're not advertising. So advertising with flyers around stores or whatever. That's the way we used to do it. But then again, comics was it seemed like there was much more there was a lot less. So it's maybe a little easier to get seen before the internet because there was a lot. If you're really doing the effort to get seen without the
Yeah.
internet and going through stores, you're probably more apt to get above a very small group of people that are doing the same thing. Unlike the internet, which is like everyone and their cousin is like throwing everything at the screen.
Right.
So I think that was also a huge benefit in the old days before the internet. I mean, now to think about it, I mean, when Ninja Turtles was released today, because I know that was like the big indie breakout, would that have hit? Maybe, but it would have had to get through a lot more stuff now to do that. So, yeah, it was a lot more effort, but I think it was a smaller pool of people doing it, and so you was, a lot less choice. That's how I took it. The internet, I mean, is great, but that's also the backfire of the internet. It's great, you can get your stuff out there, but that's also the thing that sucks. You can get your stuff out there, and everyone does it. Yeah. So.
But I think too, it's kind of like either you do it yourself or you have to have somebody do it for you,
Right.
And I think that's the thing that we're seeing as creatives, just in general, is it's like even when we had Aaron Lopresti on the Wednesday show, he was kind of hearkening to this idea that you have to you get signed, you have a publisher, you still got to do the work to
Yeah.
promote your book. You can't rely
Yeah.
on the publisher, and that's true in music, that's true in art, that's true in everything. If
What
you're
do you think?
disinterested,
Marvel publishes
in
120
business-
books a month.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be your own. You have to be your own advocate. You have to be your own press agent. And even as you are successful, like if you look at Rob Liefeld, one of the pillars of the community, he is very active promoting himself.
Yes, he
He's
is.
very active in his community. Yeah, because the hard part isn't attaining your goal. The hard part is keeping it. That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Anybody can achieve something, but can you maintain it? That's the hard thing. So you really have to be interested in that, or you won't be successful, I don't think. I mean, you can keep creating stuff, but if you don't have the interest in promoting it, other people won't do it for you necessarily. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead. Pete's itching to say something.
I'm not.
Yeah, go for it, Pete.
Oh, you're not. Okay. The thing about it is, though, it is hard. But, I look back as a fan of comics for a long time, and anyone who's followed, or knows anything about comics at all, I look back at comics produced 30, 40, 50 years ago, and I see the work that these guys did, and I'm like, okay, so why is it that these guys could do it? Their lives are just as hard as ours. It's not like, and they had just as many hours on the clock as we do. It's not like, it's not like, suddenly our lives are so much harder. Actually, I would argue the opposite. Our lives are so much easier. And so why is it that companies, people, creators, whatever, have problems doing a book a month?
Yeah.
I'm responding kind of to Aaron's thing here.
I would
But,
say, I would say the one thing about the promotion that is weird, and maybe it was true back then, but I think promotion back then, you set a plan and you put it. The one thing today is like the constant updating promotion every day. I mean, they say, if you really want to get, you should be like 3 posts a day, right? Back then, they weren't advertising 3 times a day. I mean, what would they be doing? They would make these ad campaigns. They would execute the ad campaigns. They would put the ads out in the stores, in the books, or whatever, and then do signings and stuff. But it was more spread out.
Yeah.
When you're doing literally promotion stuff like every single day, that just, pretty soon your brain just like, what do you want me to post today? Like, that's what happens to me personally. I'm like, I don't have anything new to post. I just literally run out of art and stuff to post, and I can post the same thing every day, but pretty soon people just eventually going like, I've seen this 1,000 times, I don't care.
Yeah.
That gets very hard for me. I mean, when I'm trying to push stuff out, and of course, when you push stuff out, getting a response, you're supposed to just keep putting it out. And of course, they try to be creative and have an angle and all of that. And pretty soon, it's like, I took a media class, like, yeah, generally 2-3 times a day should be posted. And I'm like, I have a hard enough time thinking of one post that possibly engaging, let alone 3 a day.
Yeah.
I'm like that, and I think that could be a big difference. The promotion today, and they're saying like, do you just need to do that to even start to make an edge? Like, and I think if you combine that
Well-
with the store signing sort of thing, that's a lethal combination right there.
So how do you? Because I mean, this was a question about without social media, and we are not without social media. So and Pete, maybe this is something as the younger member of this Sunday night crew.
Yeah.
How do you use social media to rise above the noise? Because there's a
I don't know if I have an answer for
what
that.
was that?
I don't know how you rise above the noise. I'm astonished.
I don't.
I see stuff, and they've got tens of thousands of followers, and I'm like, why? Why are people following this?
I'm so glad to
Yeah.
hear you say that because
get
I
it.
ask that question so much. I see a campaign, right?
Well, I have the answer.
I'm not mentioning any names, but I saw a
Yeah.
campaign this last week, and I'm like, and they had $18,000, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I look
Yeah.
at the artwork that they have, and then I look at the artwork for our books, and I'm like, but why? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
It's weird because you would
I have
think.
the
I think
answer.
you're thinking.
What's the answer, Curtis?
Again, it's not always reality. You can buy likes. You can get things farmed out. You can invest your own money
He's
in
absolutely
your own
right, you can.
Kickstarter
So-
if your goal is to create a Ponzi scheme.
So
Yeah.
okay,
So it's. I think that at the end of the day, yeah.
So are you saying? Are you
Go ahead.
suggesting that some of these campaigns will pay people to go back their projects?
No,
Or-
what it is,
No.
I watched a documentary on this, Curtis. So I think I know what he's talking about. You can pay
Please.
people
Yeah,
that
go
there are these algorithms that will literally go through and leave likes on your page. They will make up names, like random names, and they will actually leave generic comments. Now, so a lot of Instagram users, they were talking about this. There's a curious as a documentary, I think it was Netflix, where they took 3 people and tried to make them famous overnight on Instagram, just social media. And they were talking about how they do this. And they said one of the ways they do it, they go about it, is they went to this guy and like, we're going to buy like 10,000 likes. Buy them, right? You just buy them. And then and there was like, yeah, majority of the people you see leaving comments in these are not real. But if you leave a ton of comments and get a bunch of likes, people are like, oh, well, they're really famous. They must be. It's like the scenario, like if you go walk on the street, right, and just look up.
Oh,
Pretty
yeah,
soon you'll
yeah.
have various people looking up, like, what the hell are you looking at? Same
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah.
And it's weird, but it works. And so like you're thinking like, okay, well, how many actual people follow this person and how many are fake? But you're actually faking your popularity to get more popular. It is really stupid,
Yes,
but
yeah.
it tends to work. Roland's like, okay, I gotta find one of these. What is the name of the gentleman's name that does this? It's like a company that does this, but yeah, it surprised me as well. I thought like, oh, this is all legitimate, and it surprised me. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I get written to all the time. Companies saying, "Oh, if we can get you, X amount of likes. If you
Yeah.
spend this much, we'll get you this
Really?
much likes.
Oh, yeah,
and this many
I've had that.
followers." I'm like, you're okay.
Really?
I don't.
Mhm.
I'm not here to get famous. I'm just trying to get my
Yeah.
artwork out there and get
Yeah.
work.
yeah, I've had that too.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
But-
I was, now I get that, I get that there's probably, some of the, because I have a friend who says, can I don't want to use his name because I don't want to go off on
Make a
him.
name up.
But there's a popular Indiegogo artist who gets lots of money on Indiegogo, and I have a friend who says, well, he doesn't really get all that money because what's happened is he's doled out money to friends, and they use that money then to back the campaign. So it's just his money coming back. And of course, my first thought was like, well, that's a lot of work to begin with. And if that's really true, what's the point in that?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't really understand.
It is weird. It is one of these things. If you try to do it honestly, the way I do it, and I think we all do it here, it is a huge uphill battle. If you cheat, you can get really quick results that necessarily aren't true, but they look real.
Yeah.
And then of course if you show, you know, other type, violence and more stuff.
Yeah.
I think some of the comics that get more, I think unique ideas still sell. I think manga still sells a little. There's been a few Kickstarters I've seen posted on Facebook even when I see them, I'm like, this is probably going to get some hits. There's been some where I've been right, and there's some that I'm like, they're not, and I'm like, this thing looks great. I mean, the art looks great. It's super professional, and then they're struggling at 3 days ago with maybe half the cost covered, which is their goal. And I don't get it. And then, like you said, I see stuff where most of them we've talked many times before, where it's the covers of all the girls. It's like, is there any even interior art? Can you even find the cover? It's like on the and that's just getting tons of money.
Yeah, I can see that you know how to draw a really sexy girl. But
is there a story to this?
Yeah, what's the interior art look like? Phil Leon says, "Hey, Silverline crew, how goes it?"
Hi, Phil.
What's up, Phil? Good to see you here. So here's my last question about social media. And there's a couple of ways that we can kind of come about this. And but the question is how do you? So I don't think any of us would strongly argue that the social medias potentially have the cesspools, right? So the question is, how do you avoid the cesspools of social media? How do you avoid them? And you can, I'm not picking on any one, although for me, my the personal cesspool tends to be Twitter. When I get on there, I just see people posting all kinds of really nastiness and I'm like, please, I don't want to see this. How do you avoid that? How do you avoid that, and how do you stay? Because here's the deal. I know, and we're not. This is not what Silverline is. I know that we all have opinions, right? We all have opinions on politics, on vaccines, on travel, on schools, on wars, on the moon. We all sound effects. That's right. We all have opinions. So how do you stay away from that to avoid that kind of cesspool, as well as just kind of the cesspool in general there?
I just
don't engage.
Don't engage.
I figured out really quickly. Yeah.
Well, it's like in the martial arts stuff, there's always people arguing in martial arts about what works, what doesn't, and I try and avoid it. But on my YouTube one time, somebody wrote me and was asking about, they trapped me. And they said something like, basically, well, can you use this technique for a realistic self-defense? And so I bit the bait and I said, yeah, you can. And I thought we were going to be done. And then he wrote back and he said, well, if what you say is true, why, blah, 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 blah. And so the way I countered him is because I didn't want to engage. But what I just said to him is I said, before I answer anything, you have to answer something for me. Why would you ask me a question if you're not willing to accept my answer as the truth? Because we don't even need to have a conversation if you're not willing to accept the answer that I'm going to give you, right? And just leave it at that.
Or were you just asking that question so you could tell me I'm wrong?
Probably.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's a bait. He's baiting you into it. People love to argue. I mean, I realized really quickly that when I would, I remember a long time ago, I used to write stuff on, some Facebook posts, and I just realized I'm kind of arguing with myself. Because no one else really cares what I write personally. I mean, in other words, they don't care if Aaron changes his mind. They don't care if they convince me. They just want to scream that they're right into the void. It's more of a puffing up of the chest. And in fact, the more you disagree with them, the more inflated they get. If you actually just somebody disagreed with you, you're like, oh yeah, I totally see the light. You totally convinced me.
Yeah.
It would totally defeat him. He would be like, well, this sucks. So
Stephen Brown says, "Get off Twitter."
Before we continue, does anybody else want to?
Oh yeah, somebody else want to stream?
Yeah,
Roberta, Pete.
Sure.
Oh, Roberta.
Or
Okay.
I can.
Stephen Brown says, "Get off Twitter," and my response to that is, I don't think I can, and it's not.
It's a tool to use, so you got to use it, and you're gonna get poisonous people on there.
Yeah.
I've seen Roland go
I
through
just try to keep my
detox on
stuff
Twitter.
about my art stuff. I just try to keep
Yeah.
it. Everything I do is I don't do personal stuff. I can't imagine anyone's interested in what I'm eating or what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Everything is called Peter Clinton art, so
Art,
you're
yeah.
going to get my art. That's why I'm on there, is to put my stuff, my artwork out there. There's no other reason for me on there. If you don't like it, I'm assuming you're not following me.
Right.
I'm not in a position where people are envious of me or think, "Oh, why can't I have that job? Why is he drawing that? Why aren't I drawing that?" So I don't get any of that jealous hate.
I don't know, man. Your Miss Fury was pretty spot on, dude.
I could get some off the back of this. Once it's out there, people might start hating on me, and I think that's a badge of honor. People are hating on you. You're doing something right.
Yeah, yeah,
It's true.
yeah. Well, of course, you know we love you here, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
Phil Leon says, and this tends to be, I will tell you, this tends to be the way I handle this. Phil Leon says, with Twitter, it's just best to post and go.
Yeah, I don't engage.
It's like a drive-by shooting.
Right, exactly. And that is the way, it certainly, and Facebook gets that way for me sometimes as well. I tend to I just post and go. I just post and go because, I'll see some, and you guys know Jeff Whiting, right? So Jeff,
Oh yeah.
Jeff and I spent about 2 years traveling to conventions. We were road warrior buddies together. We would hop in a car and we would drive for 14 hours to go to a convention. And so we did that for about 2 years together, a few years ago. And we don't see eye to eye on everything, but those were really, really great trips that we had. And I remember one of the things that Jeff would say. He's like, I don't get why people. He goes, when I post something, if you disagree with it, why do you got to come on and yell at me? He goes,
Yeah.
He goes, why don't you just keep scrolling? Just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
He said, you don't have to stop and engage. He's like, just keep scrolling. He goes, I can do that. Why can't you?
Well, and your page is like your dinner table that you're setting, right?
Yes.
And if I want to serve this in my house, this is what I'm going to serve. I don't need you to barge into my house and start arguing about why did I cook this.
Yeah.
It's my table. This is what we're serving in this house. There's tons of other places though.
Yeah,
And
Jerry,
look,
Jerry Bingham used to be. He was real. He was really quick to always say, "My house, my rules."
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I post that your mama joke online, it's not technically to your mama in particular.
Yeah. No, and she loved that joke. She thought it was hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's weird. There's some stuff that I've seen, and I've caught myself responding to stuff, and then halfway through, I'm just like, "Well, this is just stupid."
Yeah.
So I've done that before. Most of the time, I've tried to whittle my Facebook feed down to just artists. So I've been pretty good at doing that, especially with Instagram too.
my Facebook feed is broken. Because here's why. Because the thing I love about that I have always enjoyed about Facebook is you can hide people, right? And there's you've got these people on your list that are just toxic and always are posting stuff. And my kind of thing is like, all right, well, I worked with you at Malibu, and you're really, really, really super hateful. I still like you, but I don't really want to see your post, so I'm just going to hide you, right? Well, my Facebook is broken now because I'm seeing all these posts, and I'll go look, and it's like, no, I'm not following them. And I don't really want to unfriend or any kind of thing. It's just like I just don't want to see it.
I think the funniest thing that ever happened to me is I was at a comic book meetup years ago. I said something that upset some guy, so he blocked me. And then when I went to the comic book meetup, he came there in real life, and he's like, "Well, I can't talk to you because I blocked you on Facebook, so therefore." And I was just walking around going,
"Wait, really? He couldn't talk to you in real life?"
No, he couldn't talk to me because he blocked. So I'm just like, well, apparently blocking doesn't exit me from the reality of coming to this group that we're both part of, does it? So I'm just like sitting there, and there's the mute sort of look at my face, going like, should I put like a little block screen over my head or something? Or
404.
He didn't really think this through. He didn't. He's like, oh, this guy. He's like, yeah, this guy really exists. And I didn't say anything to him, but he just couldn't talk to me ever again because I blocked you. I just thought it was hilarious. I'm like, okay,
that's funny. That's funny. Yeah. So, any other thoughts about social media? How you avoid the cesspool? Anybody? Before we move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't
No.
don't talk hot
Don't engage.
topics.
Don't
Yeah.
engage. The block
I
button
think if
is
you
your
engage,
friend.
it gives you more.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not big on the on the block. But I will say this: I don't really. There's only ever been one person that I can think of on Facebook that was just super aggressive on my page, and I unfriended. And the weird thing about it is, okay, so this is one of these super ultraverse fans, right? And do you know who I'm talking about, Curtis? I see you smiling.
Curtis?
I'm typing right now, and I
Okay.
don't think.
Yes, that's exactly who it was. Yeah, and he got super aggressive on my page, so I just unfriended him, right? And he sent me a message back and blah blah blah. And I said, and I told him, I said, well, dude, here's the thing, right? I spent 20 years on this particular topic, and you went to Wikipedia for 5 minutes, and you're going to argue with me on my in my home, right, on my page. And he's like, well, I won't do it again. I won't do it again. I'm like, all right, fine. So I refriended him. I kid you not. Within 7 days, he's on my page yelling again. And I'm just like, yeah, no, sorry. Click, boom. So that's the only, for me, that's the only person. I mute them and hide them all the time, though. It's like, I'm not going to unfriend you. Although the different opinions never bothered me. It's the anger, and the hatred that really
Toxic
just
people. Yeah.
yes, that just bothers me. I'm like, look, I don't care that we disagree. Build a bridge, don't build a bridge. Swim or row the boat. I don't care, but don't be so toxic. So
Yeah.
Well, for me, the thing is this: for me to be right doesn't mean you have to be wrong.
Right? Yeah.
We can both be right for what we're deciding and all that, as long as we aren't crossing each other's bridges and attacking each other. But there's this idea that people are so fragile that it's like, I believe so strongly in this, but if you don't, I get concerned. It's like, you really believe so strongly in something. That's great. Go and do you. That's your truth, and there's no problem with it. You don't have to convince everybody, because if you really do believe in it, that's all the evidence you need.
Yeah. It's a great line from a movie. I won't quote right now. I'll quote off stream to you guys. But you made me think about it. So let's move on from social media. Okay, I told you guys.
Before you move on, can I ask something?
Yes, you can. By the way, Roberta,
Yeah.
what are we seeing? What are we seeing on the screen now?
By the way, this is the new Cat and Mouse. Let me give you a little overview. This is a house that I'm going to have, the Widowmaker's house. I'm going to have to go have everybody is going to notice that this is the mouse character.
That's right.
Bobby. And she's definitely in trouble.
Yep.
Definitely in trouble. I do not know why, but she is not happy.
So this is from issue number 4. The pencils are by Wubba, who we miss on the streams. Wubba, we are ready for you to rejoin us. And the inks are by Barb Kelberg, who is now streaming with the Wednesday Whammers. And I'll give you all a little hint as I give Roberta a little not a warning so much as I was glad to see in Silverline Team Up that you did such a fantastic job with fire.
Fire.
Nice.
Let me just say that.
Thank you.
Nice.
However,
Yeah.
what's that?
No, there's no however. It's just I think that I was just glad to see that you handle fire so nicely, because I'm thinking, maybe more fires are needed.
Oh. Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yes, you will.
Okay.
Seriously? Peter still breaks on a cold sweat when he hears a fire engine.
Get the sirens on now.
After there's a fire engine that goes along. Oh no.
Speaking of Peter, before we move on, we said we said we were going to mention this on the stream. I had seen a photo of
yeah.
Peter on social media, so it ties in. It was on social media with, I believe it was DMC from Run DMC.
Daryl
So I
Daniels, yeah.
asked him about it. Maybe you could fill the folks in a little bit about
it's on
that.
hip hop. You know that.
Run DMC. It's still hard for me to believe. Run DMC. What the heck?
Well, the DMC are Run DMC.
Yes.
Certainly.
Still.
So for those that don't know, Daryl McDaniels is Daryl makes comics. So DMC also is his comic book brand. That's how I know of Daryl, and that's why he came into the Cubit School in my last year. Because one of his writers, Amy Chu, is a teacher at the school. So she introduced us, and he looked over our portfolios, and I've been lucky enough to do a little bit of work for an album project he's doing.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. Really, really friendly. Really loves comics. So I'm a big fan of Daryl. Before I met him, I was a big fan, but now I'm a big fan of the man. He's a nice guy.
Wait. That's not the way you were supposed to answer this, remember?
Was it not?
No.
What am I going to say?
You were supposed to break into a rap.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm holding that stuff back for the album drop.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that should be for our stretch goals. On the next thing, we'll have Pete do a freestyle.
There you go.
That's a stretch goal.
I shall leave them answer phone messages, or I shall be their answer phone message. Just,
Yeah.
Just MCing a response, a silver line response.
That's great. That actually that's not a bad idea. You know, something that can be done digital. Okay. Any other words about social media?
No.
So the next thing I have down here, and when I mentioned this briefly before our stream started, you guys out there in internet land, you should have seen the stares I got. They're like, we're gonna talk about what? So we're gonna talk about weather.
The weather.
And before someone accuses me of being my old man, right? We'll break into this. You know, so it is kind of funny that certainly in the South, anyway, one of the things that they always say is that as you get older, you get more interested in the weather. And I certainly saw that in my own dad. But it was funny because at about the same time he bought a farm. So he was interested in the weather because he was interested in how it was going to affect his farm. And so I suspect that's kind of the root of all kind of the interest in the South anyway, and I can't speak for really anywhere else, of the interest in the weather. So first thing, what's your favorite weather and why? And we can mix in seasons, but I'm really talking about weather.
I like it warm. I mean,
Okay.
we don't get it as hot as you do, but yeah, I want to know. Who likes rain and snow? What's that about? No, I want sunshine all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
No
Except
rain
for
at all.
Christmas. Christmas is the only time of year, so that'd be cold and dark out. But you don't get that, right? So cold is something that's not warm.
Cold is in the 50s for us.
Yeah, no, we get cold.
Yeah.
I'm sure Aaron probably gets really cold.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You live
I
in the-
think I'm
you
on
live in the-
almost the same latitude as England. I'm not. I think you guys are a little
Are
more
you?
north than me. I'm not sure. I have to double check. I know we're in the same sort of not latitude, but I know we're kind of up there where we get the same sort of weather. We get a lot of rain here.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously. I mean, Forks. Do you know the Twilight book where it takes place in Forks, Washington?
Sorry?
The Twilight books in Forks. Do you guys heard about this? So Twilight takes place.
Wait a
in
minute.
Forks,
Do you mean Twilight, the sparkly vampires?
Yes, it takes.
Oh,
Are
the
you
whole story
quoting
takes.
Twilight on here?
Boot him off. Boot him
Aaron!
off. That's enough of that.
What the heck?
But check
Carlos, why did you let him on to talk
Let him
about
off.
Twilight?
Because she chose the lady who wrote Twilight chose Forks because it has the highest annual rainfall in the North America.
Is it?
Yes, that's why she chose it.
See,
She just
that's a point
picked
to
it, and that's why. So that's why I'm
That's
trying to give
interesting.
you a context of weather. If you let me finish it, back to rain. And yes, as famous as that town is, my mother grew up in Forks, Washington, and she was absolutely stunned when the books made that town famous overnight. She had no idea
Wow.
why.
That's like Barrow in Alaska, isn't it? From,
Yeah.
30 Days a Night. Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's like, wait, they're famous? Yeah, same
Mate, they
thing.
don't get sunshine up there.
Yeah. And they said the
Still,
one
Leon,
thing.
flag on the field.
What was the? So yeah, we got. And strangely, my favorite weather's overcast.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm so used to it being overcast and not raining that's usually the day that I'm most comfortable.
So
instead of sunny-
overcast, but no rain.
No rain. If it drizzles or whatever. I mean, it's strange enough. The big running joke in Washington is that natives don't carry umbrellas. You can actually spot a foreigner around here because they carry an umbrella. And strangely enough, this is true. I asked my whole family if they'd ever bought an umbrella. None of them ever have.
Wow.
You think that would be kind of stupid to not buy it, but we just never have. And they just didn't even dawn on them to even think about to buy one.
You want me to tell you a great California rain story?
You
Pete,
go,
Pete, you'll like this one too. And Curtis and Roberta might be offended by this. So
Oh, I know
you know,
I think I know.
you've probably heard the story. So I moved to California in '92. Okay, and this is when I took the job with Malibu, and the building at the time, it was an old warehouse, but there was like a separate room. And then there was like a long, and we were all kind of not necessarily cubbies, but everybody's kind of an open desk, right? And it was kind of funny because the coloring department started off in the warehouse. You remember that, Roberta?
Do you know where I was? Just yesterday, I went on a fun drive with my husband, and I took him around Lake Lindero. And
Ah.
Oh, cool! Yeah, right there. Yep,
so I had to do a drive by of our
of
old-
course. Yeah. So anyway, so I've been there about 2 weeks, okay, and I'm sitting there at my desk, and suddenly I see people start running out of the office, and I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And so, I follow people, and I look down the hall, and everybody. So at the end of the hallway is the reception desk, and in front of the reception desk is a glass. The doors and the windows is all glass. It's not very big. It may be 6, 12, 15, 20 feet wide, total. And it's really kind of the only glass in the whole building, right? Because, like I said, it's an old warehouse. But everybody is standing there, and they're just looking out. They're literally just doing this, right? Looking out. And I come up, and so I come up there, and I kid you not, there's at least a dozen people there. And so I get up to them, and I look out the window, and I don't see nothing, and I look back at them to see if I can see where the eyeballs are going, and I'm thinking this may be like Aaron's story, people looking up in the sky. And, I think, oh, here they are pulling a trick on me, the new guy, right? And so I look back out there, and I finally said, what are we looking at? Somebody said, it's raining. I'm like, wait, what? We ran up here to see rain?
That's funny.
See, I remember. I think it was the rainbow though too. I think I remember one time there was a rainbow, and everybody was freaking out, and you were just like, "What's the big deal about a rainbow?" Like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
I could just.
yeah.
Well, so this is not weather, but this is speaking of that. Since Roberta took a tour of that, the other story I can really remember from kind of first starting there at Malibu is I'm in that same desk, and I hear, I don't know, it's kind of an announcement, or maybe someone was just coming out. Hey, everybody, the truck is here, and I see people get up and start leaving, right? And Dave Olbrich, who was the publisher at the time, is still sitting there. And, I see the editors getting up, and I'm like, okay. So I walk over to him and I say, hey Dave, I see everybody getting up. Should I go help unload the truck too? He goes, and he goes, what? He said, well, she said the truck was here, and I see everybody getting up to go to go out. I said, is that something I should do too? You know, and I'm just thinking, it's a tight company. Everybody pitches in, and he just gives one of these huge Dave Olbrich laughs and says, "It's a food truck, you hillbilly." And I'm like, what? A food truck? Of course, we didn't have food trucks in Mississippi back in the end. I don't know if they have them now, but I'm like, what the heck's a food truck? Right? I thought that there was a shipment, right? Because I worked in retail, all in college, and then whenever the truck was there, the guy was unloading product, right? And so I thought everybody was going out to help unload the truck. But no, they were going to get food.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Did you get any food?
I did. I bought. Oh man! And then I bought it like
just
every
unloaded
day.
it. Here's your food, guys.
I bought one of these huge chocolate chip muffins, and it was huge. It was like this big around, right? And I bought it like every day for like the next 2 weeks until I realized I'd put on like 5 pounds,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Kasisi says, I don't carry an umbrella. Kasisi must be in that area as well. I've only seen an umbrella in the Seattle area on rare occasions, says Kasisi. Kasisi,
Yeah.
are you in Washington, that area? Where you at, Kasisi? Stephen Brown says, I kind of like rain cause how it looks, and rain in scenes and comics. Oh, dude, don't steal my thunder here. It can make the scene either more dramatic or more emotional in the story.
Sure.
That's true. I mean, snow has always been used to add a calming effect to stories.
Kasisi says, yes, I live in Washington.
Yeah.
So
It's-
before we get on to weather and stories, Curtis, what about you? What's your favorite weather?
Oh, I mean, I do like it when it rains on occasion, just because out here we don't get it much. But I think I'm originally from Hawaii, so kind of tropical. So
Do you still run to the window and look at it?
oh no, definitely not. But yeah, I think because I'm from Hawaii originally, it's warm. I like warm weather. I like being a little bit of humid, not over the top humid, and I do like rain, like tropical showers and stuff like that. So that would be.
Isn't Hawaii like paradise?
That's what they tell me.
Why are you living in where you are? I don't understand why you're not there.
I ask myself that every morning. So when I'm in bumper to bumper traffic, that's the big question, right?
Oh,
But yeah, no, I'd say that's probably my favorite weather. I actually I was supposed to move to Chicago at one point for a job.
ooh.
I was supposed to work with John Tobias had offered me a job to work on. John Tobias is one of the co-founders of Mortal Kombat, and so he had
Cool.
hired. Yeah, they played. I went out to Chicago, had a good interview. They said, "Hey, we want to bring you out here." And I just talked to a friend from Chicago, and he goes, "Kurt, you have no idea what cold is." He goes, "You're from Hawaii and Southern California." He goes, "That place will eat you alive." And,
Oh yeah, Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cold there.
and yeah, and like within a week, I found a job at an LA place, and that's where I stayed. That's close as I've gotten to snow. So.
So favorite season?
Favorite season? Yeah, summer, probably summer.
Summer. Mhm.
Yeah, summer.
You mean the season that's all year round in California?
Yeah, the one you have all year round.
I'm just
Yeah.
kind of like, there's any other seasons in California?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's like you look on social media.
Yeah.
Fires.
You look-
Listen, I got a
Yeah.
T-shirt when I moved out there, and it said the 4 seasons of California was earthquakes, riots, floods, and fires.
Fire, yeah, fire.
Yeah.
Roberta, what about you?
Well, I do like it when it's not scorching hot like right now. But I like a warm day. I really do like nice, pleasant weather, and I do like a nice rainstorm when it happens. Just as long as it's not all the time.
Now, do you run to the window to watch it?
No, I ran to the window earlier this year when it was hailing, so you can laugh at me about that.
Yeah.
That was cool.
But I
It
like
rarely
to
gets
see
cold
hail.
enough. At this elevation, it rarely gets cold enough to snow or hail.
Yeah.
But what I like is I can drive easily anywhere to any weather. And California seems to have that.
Yeah.
Good
With the
point.
exception of tornadoes. I don't think we have that.
Yeah. Good thing you don't want tornadoes.
I don't.
No.
A friend of mine at school, his wife suffers with that SAD, seasonal affected.
Yeah.
What's that?
They live in Florida, but obviously when they were at school, they had to move up to Pennsylvania, and it was cold and snowy, and I think she got really depressed living there for 3 years.
Yeah.
So they're back in Florida now, where it's sunny all the time.
All the time, yeah. I don't remember what it stands for, Curtis, but it is it's a type of depression that you get because of the weather.
Yeah,
Because when it's overcast and rainy and snowy and cold, you can get depressed. And the initials are SAD, SAD, but I can't remember what it
seasonal
stands
affected
for.
something.
The seasonal affective disorder. They call it disorder, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's just like and the people around here get that when it's gray and stuff.
I can imagine.
I've lived here all my life. A lot of people, you take vitamin D supplements, or you could do the Happy Light, which is basically just pumping UV into it. I know these are completely foreign to Curtis and Roby because they're like, rain? What's that? Now they've heard of rain. They've seen it on TV. They just think it's visual effects. They were like, look at outside. The visual effects are so amazing. There's like water falling from the sky and stuff.
See, that's like me with snow. I've seen it on TV. I know it's white and really pretty.
Okay, who has not seen snow? I mean, obviously, Peter's seen snow. I mean, come on.
We don't get a lot of snow here.
You don't
What?
really?
They don't get that. They
That's a
do
surprise.
sometimes, but yeah, it's mostly
I've got
rain.
a lot of snow living in New Jersey. Got loads of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loads.
So,
Yeah,
but England is higher north, right?
Well,
than New Jersey?
I'm in the southeast. I'm in London, so I think it's
Right.
a little warmer down here. But
Yeah.
no, I don't think we don't get loads of snow. Up
Huh.
north,
They
maybe in Scotland, in the Highlands, but
And I think it
Okay.
has to do, and I could be wrong. I think it has to do with the fact they live so close to, like, it's an island, it's a coast. So I think it's the
could be.
water and stuff, and the moisture doesn't
That
allow
keeps it from
keeps it from getting the freezing temperature. I'm guessing. I don't know, but I do know that they get. I mean, you guys get a lot of rain and cloud. I mean, England's been known for that. But you're like us. We get snow every once in a great while here. I mean, if we get snow here, it lasts like maybe a day or two. And the whole city freaks out.
Wow.
But yeah, you go north. Yeah, New Jersey's weird because New Jersey's actually lower on the globe. But I
we've
mean, New York.
so much snow. We had to close the school for days.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Every year.
God, yeah,
School
New
was
Jersey.
closed, yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
I left New Jersey before they had this huge snowstorm. I left because I went to the Cuban school for about a month or two, and I went home and I left a week before there was such an intense snowstorm. They were like bulldozing snow off like the Brooklyn Bridge into the river. Like it just got slammed. I missed it by like a week. And I remember watching on the news going, "Woo, I missed a bullet." But yeah, they get slammed over there. So you never. So So besides, no one here has seen snow besides Peter.
Oh no, I've seen it. Yeah.
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 You've been in it and stuff. Because there's some people who haven't.
Yeah. I mean, not much. I'm from Mississippi, so not much.
Right,
but
not much, yeah.
I remember it's about 12 years ago. We got a kind of a freak snowstorm where we were, and I saw 10 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was incredible. Yeah, and it hung around. See, the problem with snow in Mississippi, it'll snow usually in the evening, and
then by the
then
morning, it's gone.
well, and when the sun comes up, then usually businesses will say, "Hey, we're not going to open until 11 or 12 or something like that," because that way that gives the sun a chance to come out that morning and melt the snow. And so you can go to school at 11, right? And then you could still see snow in the shadows. So, but yeah, otherwise you don't really see it that much.
Mississippi, I know Oklahoma has a pretty intense storms, like tornadoes and storms. Does
Oh, yeah.
Mississippi have those too?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I kind of thought
And-
you were in the same sort of region.
In fact, it's funny because Oklahoma is known for Tornado Alley,
Yeah.
but Mississippi, I know the years that we were living there, Mississippi had more tornadoes than Oklahoma did. So
Interesting.
yeah, more actual tornadoes. So
Have you seen a tornado?
Oh yeah. Now,
I've-
not like the Oklahoma tornadoes, because
Yeah.
so the difference in like Oklahoma is Oklahoma's all flat, right? And
right.
so you could see a tornado for like miles and miles and miles. In Mississippi, they almost always come at night. Almost always come at night. Yeah, which is why I when there's a tornado kind of storm, I
Yeah.
could never sleep. I had to stay up and keep my eye on the storm. But yeah, you can see them because it usually comes with lightning and all kinds of stuff, and,
Yeah.
and you can see them. I was in one as a kid in school. I was in like, I don't remember, like 4th, 5th grade, and I remember sitting in the hallway, and they would have we have tornado drills,
Right.
and I remember sitting in the hallway, but I could look out the front door, and that's when I saw the rain just going, horizontal. It was,
Yeah.
and the roof on the inside of the school building was just going.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's
that's
scary.
intense. Yeah, the tornado. It would be one of those things I would like to see. I mean, maybe that's a wish, just to physically see one. Now, did they?
I'd like to see one in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean those. Well, you had the tornado warning. Did you have to keep the TV on at night when there were storms that give like warnings and stuff?
Radio.
Radio. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, our TV shut off at midnight.
Oh, that's true. Back then. Did you guys have?
Pete's like, what?
Yeah.
This was before cable, Pete.
Oh, I still remember TV shutting off.
the,
I old enough to
The
remember that.
TV channels all shut down at midnight
hmm
or thereabouts. Yeah.
I remember that too. I'm old enough to
They
remember
play
that.
the national anthem, and then
Mhm.
and then these jets would
That's
fly,
funny.
and
Yeah, I had to
And-
explain Poltergeist to a
Yeah.
child one time because
Yes, I was about to say that because the very first
No
scene of
sense.
Poltergeist, yes,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
TV shuts off for the night. Yes,
Yeah.
I was
And
about to say that,
remember
Roby.
the people that got HBO, that was the first time that it was just constant 24
Yeah.
hours. I'm like, wow. And that happened when I was probably in high school. First people I knew got HBO.
well, we got
Pete's like, wait, you mean it's possible that right now I could turn on the TV and there's nothing? It's just snow. That's what we'd call it, just snow.
Yeah,
Static, right?
Static.
Yep, static. If you like, because it's going on 3 over there, right?
Yeah.
3 a.m., right? Yeah,
No, we'll come up to, yeah.
yeah.
I
So,
guess I
so you,
remember as a kid there might have been I wouldn't have been up that late, so
I actually remember probably like Roland. I'm sure Curtis Roby getting up to change the channel.
oh man,
Oh gosh.
I remember
dial.
like the innovation of the remote control.
listen,
Listen,
for
you get it for your
years-
TV.
my parents, the dial
Yeah.
had a short in it, and
Oh.
what would happen is that my dad would change a channel and stick a pencil in it, because that would, and so you could look at my dial, right? There was my dial, and there was a pencil sticking out of it, because that helped the connection. And even all the way till today, when we watch a show or something that's got a slightly snowy or something like that, we'll joke in our family, "Where's the pencil?" Yeah.
It's weird. I mean, still like the rabbit ears. I mean, I remember
Yep.
doing that and all that, and yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, but you'd never know what it's like until you have to go outside and stand and hold the antenna for your dad. Yeah.
No, I never did that.
Yep.
Oh boy.
And he'll say, "Turn it a little bit." Nope, stop right there. Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And now
I
I wouldn't have to stay there. I mean, because what he was doing is he was trying to figure out what direction it was, and so I would get there, and then he would come out and fix the antenna where it needed to be. But
Strangely enough,
I had to go out and turn the antenna.
and now speaking of it, I don't think weather really affects TV like it used to in the old days. I mean, I remember
Well,
weather.
so my parents still live in the middle of nowhere, and they have satellite. So it does affect their television.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I'm trying to remember, because I remember like if it was windy out or something, you would get static and stuff. And
Cube says, "Yep, I was the pole turner."
the pole turner.
Okay, so so before I go to the next part of weather, so my favorite weather is my favorite season is fall. I love the fall. And I know some people say, why don't you like the spring? Because the fall and the spring temperatures are very similar. I get that, but I don't know. There's something about the fall and the fact that the leaves are falling from the trees and that kind of thing. And I love it because fall has a tendency to be a little wetter, where mostly where I am, not necessarily here in Florida, but for me, temperature wise, I like a slightly overcast, not terribly overcast, but slightly overcast day. Um, and I like it to be about 70 to 75, something like that. That's weather that I could go out and play ball, throw a frisbee, throw a football. I don't kick a soccer ball, but that would be great weather to kick a soccer ball in. I cannot stay. Florida here is just too dead-gum hot. It's just hot. Now, the funny thing, and I think you guys have heard me say this before, people, when I first moved down here, people warned me about the humidity. Oh, it's so humid here. It's so humid here. And after a year here, I'm like, when's the humidity kick in? Because in Mississippi, the humidity is terrible. The thing about Florida, and this is probably why so many people are here, is there's almost always a breeze. So it can be 90, 95, 100 degrees out there, and there's a breeze. And so if you can get out of the sun, it's not unbearable. And that's, now I can't, in 95, 100 degree weather, I cannot just stand there in the sun because I just cook. But if you can get into under a tree, it's shady. And so, yeah, so there, but the humidity is nothing like Mississippi. CubeTube says fall and overcast and rain, but I'm in Texas. It's hot. Okay, so I said basically all that was kind of a lead in to where Steven tried to steal my thunder a little bit. So let's talk about weather in comics. I'll tell you guys a story, and then y'all jump in. So in the first issue of Cat and Mouse, I had written the story, and Dean Zachary, who was the penciler, he read it and he said, "Hey, can I add rain?" I'm like, sure. That's fine with me. But I'm like, why? He goes, because it was at nighttime anyway. He goes, well, it's at nighttime, and he goes, and I want to draw rain. And I'm like, he goes, because they're going to be fighting in mud, and I can draw splashes and rain dripping off of them and everything. And I'm like, that sounds really cool. Make it happen. But that was for Dean. That was one of the things that he said. He's like, I think it would look so cool to have them splashing around in the mud and in the water and splashes. And so I'm like, okay, cool, make it so.
Make it so.
Make it so.
I know.
Dean is great at that. Like you see it time and time again, especially the covers he does. He always puts some type of atmospheric in it, and it almost makes it feel like you can almost hear what's going on. He is so clever with that, like the cover for Divinity. He has all the debris and everything kind of coming up, and there's the helicopter above, and just gives you that sense of the presence of the helicopter.
Because the blades are the blades are blowing the stuff up off the ground.
Yeah, it's such a nice touch.
Yeah,
it's very cool stuff. Yeah, definitely.
What about it, Pete? What do you, when you think about weather in comics? Of course, in our comic, there was a lot of snow in that first scene.
Snow in the first scene, yeah.
I
I think.
had to find that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
Rain is cool.
Okay.
Rain, it's very dramatic and moody. I think someone commented on that already. So yeah, you can put things in rain. Rain at night is very Batman.
Yeah.
And it conjures up all the right things. So snow can be done really. Lee Weeks did a Daredevil 4 6 issues.
Yeah,
It was Daredevil in the snow. And
I think I remember that.
Snow could be done right. It's amazing.
Some years ago, right? This is not a new thing.
Yeah.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. So otherwise, I mean, what else? What else could? Yeah, no, snow and rain are the most dramatic. Otherwise,
So
you got autumn where the leaves fall and
yeah.
summer it's sunny. So
So
great.
what about wind? How hard is that to try to visualize in a drawn form?
Um, wind, you see wind by how it affects everything else, isn't it? You don't see it, so it just depends. It's good. Capes are great.
Mm,
You show all sorts of cool wind and things of that, and hair.
I was thinking
Um,
the anime and the hair. Every
yeah.
anime character has to have the hair wrestling in the wind.
You can do
yeah.
trees bending over,
Uh-huh.
and otherwise it doesn't affect the buildings, really, is it? Unless it's a tornado.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, wind's cool. Anything that adds drama and action, I think, to comics.
Yeah, my Goblins characters actually teleport in tornadoes. So when they have a tornado that touches down, then it dissipates and they're there. So I actually use the tornado as a way to teleport them from here to there. In the first cover, you see them coming out of a tornado. I just thought that'd be cool. I had some people actually really like, hey, so then they disappear in a tornado. I'm like, yeah, tornadoes are cool. So I did that.
So they don't ever go to Washington, right?
No, they don't. We've actually had tornadoes here. I've not
Really?
seen one, but we've actually had them. Yes,
Wow.
they very slight. I mean, I think they like dislodge a roof or something. Nothing like you guys have, but yes, we do have them. We have volcanic explosions around here. I actually lived here.
What?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I lived here
Really?
during the explosion of Mount St. Helens. I'm a native here.
What?
Oh yeah,
I
there's a
remember
picture.
that.
We have a picture of the volcano exploding from my road outside my house. I remember where everything was covered in ash and watching the rivers and the emergency news. Yeah, I lived through all that. I've lived through one of the only volcanic explosions in the United States. I was here through it. Yeah, I was a kid.
Wow.
But yeah,
I just read somewhere on the news that Alaska had over this past weekend or last few days. Alaska's had like three volcanic eruptions.
really. Oh,
Yeah,
I
not
didn't
big,
know that.
not big ones, but
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 yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, this
enough
one
to
blew
make
out
the
the
news.
side. Yeah, it blew up the top, and then when Mount St. Helens, there was it triggered an earthquake that
Uh huh.
the side avalanche down, and so it blew up the top, then it blew out the side, and it blew out the side at probably I think it was like 5 megatons, and it was so hot the gases that anybody caught in it was instantly cooked, which sounds kind
Right.
of gross, but you could like, and there were people, yeah, there were. You could still go up to Mount St. Helens and see the trees lined like they look like rivers,
Yeah.
like flowing
I've seen
rivers.
pictures.
Yep, it's still
Yeah,
there.
and some video.
Yeah.
Got a message from Tommy. He said he had some issues come up at work that he is actually still working on, so he wasn't able to make it. And I just let him know that he was missed. And certainly
On a
to the
Sunday?
what's that?
On a Sunday?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Don't buy it.
So, well, you think he's out riding his bike, don't
He's
you?
out riding his bike or doing something he shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. So Pete, you talked about Night, and very very Batman-y. And I tend to agree. What about the sun? What about is it important to you as an artist where the sun is in the sky? I mean,
Oh, well, what's important to me is where the major light source is. Yeah.
Okay.
So if that's the sun, then that's a fairly, I guess, undramatic because it's always above you.
yeah.
Um,
But is it always above you though, or I mean, if it's in the evening or in the morning, doesn't that cast longer shadows?
yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, you're right. It does.
So, as an art director, I have quite often the opportunity to talk to photographers, and it does make a huge difference what time of day you're working. Especially for the types of subjects that you have. You
Yeah.
have reflections that you have to worry about, and and then color shifts that happen towards the end of sunset.
Right. Yeah. The kinds that you stop your car on the road and look at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 So I will say this as a writer, one of the things, even kind of hearing you say it, Pete, but like when Dean said that to me, my first thought was like, that sounds like it's harder to draw.
Yeah.
All the rain and the puddles and stuff like that. I do also think it looks really,
Does
very
look
cool.
very cool. Yeah.
It does. So is there, are there ways that you attack it? Are there ways that um, you approach it differently, thinking, okay, I've got to go draw rain and puddles and or snow, right?
Yeah, I used to. I don't know if I've got them on my computer anymore. I might do. I can show you some examples of stuff I did when I was at school of rain, and one which was older. And I really attacked it and went really heavy on the rain, and I think it was too much. It was over-ended, and then another one which I did the next year. Now can I find it? Second year.
Well, okay, so that's actually an interesting question,
That would be then.
because I have a tendency to think this way a lot of times when it comes to certain things in art. Not everything, but certain things. But when you said that the first one you did with the rain, you overdid it.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to think that that's something that artists will do sometimes, is they'll overdo something. It's like, no. You sometimes, or a lot of times, simpler is better. Agree or disagree? Or
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think
Definitely.
it adds emotion rather than distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Strangely
you
enough,
have to see how you feel about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Frank
So
Miller's
really-
really good at doing this. He does this
yeah.
in a lot of his book. I just got done reading Electra Lives Again,
Yeah.
and I think he did some rain.
Yeah.
But like even in like the first, even the wind, like when he did the first one of the opening scenes of like The Dark Knight Returns, when Bruce Wayne's walking down the street, you could see like paper blowing against people's feet.
Yeah.
Like hitting there's a breeze or whatever. It's a nighttime. He actually in Sin City, he has a few ones with Marbury. I think he overdid it. Like I think it was snowing or raining, and I was like, it looked like a downpour, and I'm like, dude. I mean, it looked like
Yeah.
there's a flood coming. But I think that's for dramatic effect.
Yeah. You remember the John Byrne Blizzard issue with Alpha Flight? Anybody remember that?
I think I
Yeah,
remember
well,
that. I think he did the same thing in one of his Next Men, because I have all the Next Men. I think he did a
Yeah.
story of Snow with Blizzard. Yeah, he's really good at that. He's done that.
Who
What
was the Snowbird was her name, right? Snowbird. Yeah. And there was an entire issue. There was an entire issue with Snowbird in a blizzard. I don't know that it was the entire issue, but it was a lot of pages. And you're like,
Oh, I forget.
Boy.
I can't. Yeah.
what's that?
I can't share my screen on this. Live stream.
Man, we got to figure that out. We got to get Tommy back on that. Tommy tends to be our sharing tech guru here.
Yeah.
Yeah, shoot.
Went really over it on that one. The other one came back quite nice. Just less is more.
You found it?
Yeah, I found both of them, but I can't share them
Yeah.
with you.
You know, if I could, if it's not too much trouble, if it's possible, maybe take a screenshot and share them in the comments after the stream.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we want to try to get our comments up, right?
That's
And
right.
this could be a good way. So, yeah.
I know in
What
movies,
was that,
like
Aaron?
I always know in movies that everything is a deluge. Like every time it rains in movies, it's just like pouring down rain and everyone's soaked. And I didn't know that. Curtis probably knows why. You can't see rain unless it's like a downpour. You have to do a lot of it, or it doesn't show up in the movie. It doesn't register. Which I thought was kind of an interesting. I was like, oh, because I'd always notice. I feel like every time there's a rainstorm anywhere in a movie, it's like they're just drenched. And I'm like, I live in Washington, dude. I've never been completely drenched by rain. Not like that. Now in the tropics in Hawaii, would you ever get that in Hawaii? Like the downpours and stuff that would like the warm rain?
You get it in waves, but a lot of times you just get like almost like a mist, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like where I'm originally from is this area called Manoa, and Manoa in Oahu, right? And so if you know Honolulu, that's where Honolulu is. That's the rainiest part of the whole island. So it's constant light showers, but it's gorgeous because it's so green and so lush because it's just constantly all day getting fed rain
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
sunshine. Yeah, and but yeah, you don't have a downpour, but a lot of times it's just like a consistent mist going through. Yeah.
Interesting, because I know some of those, like more like in South America and the tropics, you'll get these all of a sudden these like bursts of intense rain showers that are very warm, and then they'll quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think only, I've seen a lot of rain, in Mississippi, and then of course it rains so much down here. But the difference between like the rains in Mississippi and the rains here, the rains in Mississippi could last for, hours and hours and hours. Down here, this like it comes a deluge for like 30 minutes, and then it's like done, and the sun's shining again, and you're like, what the heck was that? And it's really weird because I kid you not, you can, we'll be eating lunch at noon, and the sun's shining, and I'll come into my office and suddenly I hear, and I walk into the living room and it's just raining, right? And then we'll sit there and look at it for a minute or two, and then a few minutes later or 30 minutes later, I'll walk back out and the sun's shining again. It's very frustrating when you're trying to cut your grass.
that would be. I've been to Florida before, and I think that actually happened a few times. I remember the one thing I do remember. I think I was in Florida. I might have been in Georgia. Was that your lightning arcs horizontal across the sky?
It does, yeah.
There's lightning. We have lightning here.
It does both.
Yeah, we have thunder. We do have lightning bolts hit, but we don't have an arc across the sky like you do. That was impressive. I've never seen that before.
So when I was a kid, or when I was in junior high, I used to go and camp out on top of a water tower.
Oh.
And one of the things that we used to love to do, we'd take our sleeping bag. It was a flat on top, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that we used to love to do is we would lay in our sleeping bags and watch the lightning just arc across the sky. We never thought, we never ever thought, that could streak down and strike us.
It could. It's if it was made. I mean, if your water tower was metal, but I mean, it's got to be. I think a pretty distinct point. But I mean, anything's possible. Now it's funny too because I remember hearing lightning doesn't actually hit the ground. It draws a charge up from the ground. So when lightning hits, it draws a charge and it meets in midair. And so that's what I thought. Because I thought it struck the ground.
Don't know that's true or not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know several people who've had lightning. No. I'd say that's not true.
That's what I scientifically heard.
I've seen lightning strikes. I've seen trees that have been struck by lightning.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a friend of mine who worked on a golf course who had lightning strike.
You always hear lightning strikes in golf courses. I don't know why.
It's because those stupid flagpoles, right?
I know. Boom. Yeah. I did see videos of lightning actually arcing out in the space. You can actually see photos from.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
cool.
It actually shoots straight out into space. That was cool
Yeah.
looking. I didn't know it could do that, but yeah,
either.
they were showing that. I was like, oh, cool. So, yeah, lightning fascinates me.
As always happens, y'all, our clock has turned, and and we have reached the end of our time here. And y'all didn't think we could talk about social media and weather.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
You're right.
It ended up being a fun discussion, didn't it?
You did.
So. And we made it all circle back around to comic books too. So
Definitely.
all right, but so before we say our goodbyes, anybody got anything they want to add?
I just said you finished up on lightning in comic books. When we were working on the Ultraverse thing, there was this whole that was so important to that series because there was this idea of the jumpstart effect, which was
Right.
it appeared like a lightning bolt hitting and causing all the people's
That's
superpowers.
right. I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
And the coolest group, which was the book that you edited, was the Strangers. I thought it was such a clever idea. Where it was a cable car in San Francisco that got hit by lightning, and everybody on it got some type of power, and that's why they were called the Strangers. And they eventually, several of them met up and became a team. So I always think about lightning in comic books. I think about the Strangers and
That's
the
pretty cool.
jump start effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see Curtis outside. What are you doing out there? I'm getting superpowers. Leave me alone. He's like holding a big metal rod in the air. I'm gonna fly one day.
There you go.
Super seafood.
I know. It's funny too. I mean, I remember like they couldn't show the Human Torch on the original Fantastic Four cartoon because they worried kids would light themselves on fire to
Yeah.
be the Human
Mm.
Torch. I remember that. I'm like,
Yeah.
you would think like, well, it's in the comic. Like the kid reads the comic, I won't do it. But if he sees the cartoon show, that's when he gets the idea.
Well, the other thing about it is, I used to watch Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner all the time. Those was one of my favorites. I never tried to drop an anvil on anybody.
Yeah,
You know,
I know.
I
I'm just
never
thinking.
tried to order a bomb from Acme.
Yeah, I know. I'm always thinking that too because like I did all that stuff. Like, yeah, we knew not to do that, but I think some kid did something. I mean, I'd heard stories of kids jumping off roofs trying to fly like Superman,
Yeah,
and I'm just unfortunately, I'm like, look, I'm sorry. I mean, maybe you just have a dumb kid. I hate to say that. Maybe that's not really the show's
So,
fault. I don't know.
Yeah. So my son, when he was probably about 4, he used to have a Superman cape. He took a nosedive off the couch.
Ouch.
Found out about gravity.
He burned his top of his nose right here when he landed. But yeah, he only did that one time.
It's like, yeah, that's visual. That's special effects. You can't do that. Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. So anything else? Okay, so thank you guys. Thank you all for. Oops, I navigated away from my chats. I'm sorry, because I was sending Tommy a message. Steven said, "Didn't mean to steal your thunder. It's all good." Jackson says, "Breaking through a window can be a bugger to draw. All of that glass and the images behind it."
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's funny that Jackson says that because I can think of about twice in the story that he and I worked on together. Two of the characters jumped through a big pane of glass. So I remember that. I'll keep that in mind, Jackson. That's something that you enjoy drawing.
Strangely enough.
I know Pete likes to draw fire engines, and so I'm working on putting some some more into the story.
Doing a fire engine crashing through a big window over here.
Am I the only, and this is for Peter and Curtis and anybody, am I the only artist when I draw like breaking glass or debris? Do you ever forget to overlap the debris? Like I get so used to drawing things like flat, like in space, that I forget like, oh, you can draw little pieces overlapping. And I'll go back and oh yeah, you should make it because I do that all the time, and I'm like, this looks really flat. Oh yeah, overlapping, foreshadowing. I do that. I forget that all the time. And go back.
Because you don't want it to get messy and
Yeah.
it would be all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jackson says, and nets. He loves to draw nets.
Oh,
He's being sarcastic right now. Steven says, earlier when I said get off Twitter, I was saying it as a joke. Okay, yeah, but people on Twitter love to argue and they love to hate. Yeah, I agree with that. So all right. So everyone remember we've got a Tuesday night stream. And I think we settled on the name is that Silverline show on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I think that's what we're doing.
I like that. I think it works. Stephen, that's an interesting question. Stephen asked a question. I'm not sure that we're going to answer this time, but he talks about fonts. That could be a whole.
yeah.
I'm going to make a note, Stephen. What font for comic? So maybe lettering, the lettering topic. It's a good question though, Stephen. We will. I just made a note. I know you can't see it, but right here it is. And we'll see if we can't work that into our topics here. So we got the Tuesday stream, Wednesday Wham. Tuesday is at let's see, 8 o'clock the Pacific time, so it's 11 o'clock Eastern time. And then we have the Wednesday Wham, which is at 8 p.m. on Eastern time on Wednesday. This week locally here, this upcoming week locally, we have MegaCon. And there's going to be a handful of folks down here at MegaCon, and we're me and Tommy and probably BJ. We're going to try to run down on Friday night and see if we can have dinner with C. Michael Lanning. So we may see if we can do us a really C's probably not listening to me, but we may try to get us an impromptu little live thing just for a little brief thing with C. Michael. C. Michael, I think, is apparently tabling at MegaCon. So and I'm thinking that I might get a last minute invite. A couple of people have emailed me and said that apparently the guest, because of the COVID outbreak here in Florida, apparently there are a lot of people who are just saying, nope, I'm not coming, I'm not going. And so I guess there's a lot of people canceling, and I'm local, so I'm here. So I have sent a message to MegaCon, and they know I'm available if they need replacements. So it might be interesting. There's a handful of folks there. It'd be fun. I haven't been to MegaCon in probably 4 years now, since the new owners took over. So yeah. So, and then we will be back here next week at 8 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time. Not sure what we'll talk about, but we'll figure something out. Curtis, why don't you tell folks where they can find you?
Sure. You can find me online, two different paths, my martial arts and my comic book. Martial arts, it's Tiger Crane 805 on Instagram and YouTube, and Tiger Crane Kung Fu on Facebook. And then for the comic book, it's Shadow Ghost Comic, one word, on Instagram and also on Facebook. And that's where you can find me. And also my martial arts website is tigercrane.net. So those are all the places.
Nice. Roby, what about you?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Roby Conroy, and that's the best place to find me.
All right. Pete, where can folks find you?
Well, as I said at the beginning, Peter Clinton Art. Type it into the Google, and it will take you everywhere that I am, even the TikTok.
Even the TikTok, yeah, and Pete, we love you. My wife and I were talking about you last week. It's Peter Clinton Art, not
Art. ART.
Yeah. Now we're from Mississippi, so it's Peter Clinton Art, right? Art. Yeah.
Like a dog barking. Art.
Peter Clinton Art. All right. And Aaron, what about you? Aaron's usually on our Tuesday stream.
Yeah.
But he's slumming tonight.
I am slumming. We are
William Carlos.
So yeah, I just bothered Carlos. I didn't really bother him. You found me on Facebook and Instagram, and it is Humphrey's Illustration. So now I changed my Instagram handle to Humphrey's Illustration to match. I didn't do that before because of business cards. Now I order new business cards. Now I get to change. Now I'm unifying it all. So it's Humphrey's Illustration. I think I think it's all lowercase for Instagram because they don't let you do uppercase, I guess. Or I don't know. It was rejecting it. So it's... And then my last name is HUMPHRES. Just remember the RES, and you'll be fine. And then you can find my name on Facebook. I have another sort of personal account. Well, I kind of post the same thing. I think most of the time I share most of the stories I share through my own Aaron Humphreys Facebook instead of going to Humphreys Illustration. And then I do Gollings on Webtoons, which I should hopefully start doing again. But you can find most of me.
That's something that we didn't actually talk about. Do you when you follow the same person on multiple media, do you look at them all on like Peter Clinton Art? Like, right, I follow him on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I get the same things on all three media, right? Or do you ever unfollow? Not unlike, but do you ever unfollow them because well I'll see them on Twitter, so.
No, I usually follow him. I mean, if anything, if I liked it, like with Peter and stuff, I follow him on Facebook and Instagram just to help him out, like another
And
follower.
they are different.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was told that you should try and post different things on a different.
I've heard that
which
too.
is super, but then it's like Aaron saying earlier. How much stuff do I have that I can show?
Right.
I run out of stuff. There's
Yeah.
too many things.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough to try to, do 3 posts a day on each of the social medias and make all of them different, because suddenly with just Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, you're talking about 9 different posts, right?
Yeah,
What the
no
heck?
doubt. And I accidentally
So-
did post that bear cover before that. Roland
No,
told
it's
me
all
not
good.
to do that. But Roland's got to understand, I got new stuff to post, and so it's itching me. I usually have new things, so I got a new cover to post. I'm like, I don't know, Roland, you may be out of the picture on this one.
Yeah,
I may be
I've got to show
No,
people
no,
I'm not just sitting here doing nothing. I've got to show them I've done some work.
Yes.
I've got to put this up.
yeah, and that was kind of my question when we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's like, does it show a part of it, right? Show a little snippet from it.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
you could show multiple pieces.
Well,
And
they
still
did
have
that on
sort of
Instagram, where people
Yeah.
will split them in 8, which
Well, yeah,
I
we
like
do
it
that
online.
with the Silverline account.
Yeah,
which I think,
some of those
I
are
think is
fun.
really cool. Yeah,
Uh,
that's not what I was talking about. Separate pieces, not
Right.
in pieces to make the whole thing up. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Anything else I forgot? I gave you the Kickstarter update at the beginning, so we're still working on that. And what's that, Curtis? You're muted.
Daytona Beach Comic Con.
Thank you. Shout out to Daytona Beach Comic Con, September 18th and 19th. Ted Gubb and I counted last time. I think there's 10 of us there. So this is going to be the largest gathering of Silverline Comics creative talent ever thus far. So this will be a great time to come out and get a bunch of autographs. Get some sketches by the artists who are there. Aaron will be there. Get some sketches, get some comics, get some autographs, and just come out and have a comic-y good time. And until next time, remember to
Make
make
mine.
mine
Mine
Silverline.
Silverline.
All right. Good night, everybody.